Sunlight begins to fade now, and I feel like I'm losing time, but I don't know how I'm here. The sunlight has turned to gray, and I feel like I'm losing love again. I don't know how I'm here. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel it somewhere you're looking down. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel it somewhere you're looking down. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna breathe. And it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna need.
Hello everyone, welcome to SimRacers World TV for the Sunday GT3 World League Round 7 from the Daytona International Speedway. We're close to the beach. It's hot, it's nice, very much the opposite of what it is in Europe right now. And I am joined by Edward May tonight in the booth, looking for some good times. And Edward, such a pleasure to have you here. What are your expectations for what we're going to see tonight?
Well, we are here, yes, at the Daytona sunrise. Not the sunrise, the sun is high in the Daytona sky, and, well, there's plenty of action on track. We've been seeing a few times putting in practice, and when we get to it, you might see a few surprises actually at the sharp end of the field. There's a certain car that we haven't really expected to see that fast. It's really up there.
Yes, indeed, and Jack Warrell, who's very much usually in the booth with us up here, is on track for this series, and he's in the Ford GT. He's made a car change, and he's currently sitting in a very good position here for the last 10 minutes of practice. We're a little early compared to what we usually do, but you know what I thought? You know what, let's just get it on. Anyways, let's go to some live pictures of what's going on track here, just to get an idea of how the drivers are dealing with Daytona. Of course, the GT3 machines, most drivers who've, well, if you're familiar to iRacing, I think many drivers will be familiar with this combination, of course. A track that very much features this class when it's run upon it for 24 hours, which usually also makes for some interesting racing, and also a track that really requires a lot of compromise for the drivers when it comes to the car, because you need a car that's able to handle the infield, featuring the famous International Horseshoe. Gotta love that name. And you also need that absolutely insane straight line speed to get the most of it here, because there is a lot of straight indeed, with the banking and the part of the oval that's used. And I think we're in for a good one. We certainly were in for a good one when we were here this very Wednesday for the SRW GT Pro Series. So I'm expecting good things here tonight. Currently, as we said, Jack Warrell, who's currently heading out on track. Here he is in the Ford GT. I never thought I was gonna see the day we had a Ford GT on top of the timings board here in practice.
It's a beautiful sight though, isn't it? Just seeing cars that you wouldn't expect to see at the front managed to go well. Jack was saying that I think this was his first evening actually in the car following its update, and immediately he seems to have found a lot of pace from this car. He's about 3/10 faster than Niels Teesters, the Next Level Racing driver, and well, Niels last time out actually managed to bag himself a second place at Road Atlanta, so he's definitely no slouch, and it seems that this Ford is really working good for Jack.
Yes, indeed, and how nice it would be as well to see the Ford GT come to life again. Oh, well kept there. Jack Warrell with a bit of a display of his car control skills. He's got plenty of control of the vocabulary of his when he's commentating here, but shows that he also knows what he's talking about. And just as I say that, he almost gets stricken by the curse. He's dancing with the devil. And how's that gonna work out for 40 minutes? It might for 40 minutes, because it might be fast for one lap, but Could also be the cold tires that are playing him a bit of tricks here, Edward. But from what we're seeing, it still looks like a little bit of an unstable beast here.
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't seem like the most stable of cars, but then again, most cars, especially with the new time model on the opening lap or two, you are having to fight a lot of oversteer and a bit of twitchiness in the car as it tries to find any amount of grip it can find. It looks much more stable, though, through the bus stop chicane there, did Jack. So I'm guessing he's got the handle of it now. But you can also see on board that because we are using the older version of Daytona, the legacy version, the free one for everyone on iRacing, it's a little bit bumpy on there, and he's having to fight the steering wheel a little bit just to keep it where he wants it. And that could be another compromise you mentioned with the way that the track is, how you want to set up the car. You might also need to make your car a little bit softer than you normally would just to be able to ride those bumps, as we see a car on its roof, I think.
Oh, whoa. Now watch that. I was just fiddling with the audio levels to make everything perfect.
I think there was a car on its roof just going down towards turn 1.
Oh, that looks like something we have to take a closer look at here. Could that be Matthew Maddox here, who's had a bit of a problem? I'm not quite sure. Can't even see where that is. Oh, doesn't look like he's going to be turning upside down.
I think if we go back a little bit with Jack onto just a little bit rewind as he came across the line, I think we did see a car on its roof. At least it might have been on my end. I'm not sure if it was for everyone else. It was definitely a weird sight.
Well, I'm just looking for it, but it doesn't quite seem like I can find the car. Where is Justin Nair going? Where is Justin Nair going here? He's way off. And this is where he came back. Oh, look at that in the background. Indeed, that is a huge accident for the Mercedes as well. Oh, my word.
Who was that? Was that Eric Verley, the next level racing driver?
I'm not quite sure. I think that's a very good... That's very true indeed. That is Eric Verley, and we're just gonna have a look at what happened to Eric here because he came flying off the track for a moment there. And by the way, a very warm welcome and a very good evening. Oh, and if it keeps on going like that for Eric, he's not gonna be having a very good evening, that's for sure. Back to the pit. Back to the pit he goes.
Night for him.
It's gonna be a tough one indeed. Straight back to practice here as we're just a few minutes from the end of it. I'm just gonna get the timings up as well.
Oh, as we say that, we saw hopefully get a little bit caught up actually through the bus stop, and that could be something that we could be seeing a lot throughout this race. As all of the cars, when they're fighting for track position, they come to a concertina effect. And when you see the cars trying to fight for position, some cars might be a bit faster how they've been set up to go through the bus stop. Others might get slowed down and checked up, and as long as the drivers can keep it clean, there should be no issues. But this Daytona track, it's one that does throw a lot of thrills, but also plenty of spills, especially with the bumps on it.
Yeah, I don't actually recall having tried out the bumpy version, but you can see it there for Eric Verley into turn 1, who's really struggling with that Mercedes. You could just see it taking a big bump there, and that means you have to be even earlier on the brakes. Though, that said, the GT3 machines should be able to take it with the right setups. And I was just welcoming everyone to the party before. Dirk, Andreas, Rico, and everyone watching on both YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch as well here on Sim Racers World TV. Nice to have you along. We are just a minute and a half away from the beginning of the qualifying session. We will then have 20 minutes of qualifying and then 40 minutes of racing. And we're going to be running a heavily reduced fuel tank size as well. A limit of 40 liters, I believe. Which means that as in the VRS Sprint Series, we will still see drivers needing to make a fuel stop. And here is Jose Coutinho. And some of you might think, Jose, wait a minute. Isn't it supposed to be Jose? Well, not if it's Portuguese. The linguist in here says. He's waiting for me to slaughter something else. Although I have to say, my own defense, I try to be at least consistent with the pronunciations. But there's many languages in the world. At some point, Edward, I think you're bound to come across something that you just don't know how to say anyways.
Yeah, the cunning linguist himself, Hasse Rømer, and I'm here just the the Brit boy who only knows one language, but I'm trying my hardest. I'm trying to learn a bit of Finnish, but I'm not going to bother trying to say any of it because it will be horribly, horribly incorrect. Duolingo is great at many things, but not helping at all with pronunciation. So I'll leave it up to the professionals like yourself, Hasse, to tell me what people's names are.
The professionals. It makes it sound a little more... makes me sound more knowledgeable than I actually am. Perhaps we should leave that to Peter MacKay, who seems to know it all, or is very swift with his fingers and Google. I don't know which of the two it is. Could be a combination. Anyway, the session ticks over, and just see if we can get a bit of a practice result up in a moment. Is that going to be a thing? No, it's not. So we aren't. Someone cuts out of that pit lane very early. I think that's going to give a penalty.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to go. I think he's going to have to pull back into the pits and go out again. But you can see all the drivers fighting for position as we see Valdez Suarez Jr. just getting a little bit over the curbs. And you saw a little bit of actually deformation on the left-hand front of his Ferrari. So that might have actually impeded him a little bit in terms of his straight line speed, because you can see actually his diffuser on the front, not the diffuser, the splitter actually on the front of his car. He's been a little bit bent out of shape, but I don't think he realizes it. Oh, he realizes it now, though, as he gets a little bit over onto the grass. Manages to hold the car, though, just about, knocks several cones out of the way and parks it into the tyre barrier.
That doesn't look like the Valdez Suarez, and someone else goes off as well in the BMW there. Oh, my word. I am afraid that's Nils Cornelis. Let's have a second look here for the BMW, who gets across the grass, takes out a couple more cones, picks up one into the car. That's never good as well. Throws it away, but throws it away as well in terms of the well-being of the car here. Valdez Suarez Jr., by the way, our championship leader still, after Peter Plastow wasn't able to attend for the last round either. So both of our championship leaders still very close, still within 7 points, both of them. The big thing now is that Koen Mulder, who picked up a third place last time around as well, he is now within 10 points of our championship leader. So it's Valdez Suarez Jr., who we're watching at the moment, the Brazilian, and I just cannot make the American flag go away and make it a Brazilian one. I'll get that sorted out at some point, but he is Brazilian. He told me himself. But anyway, he's atop the standings. 122 points to his name. Peter Plastow, the Brit Ferrari driver as well. He's on 115. And then Koen Mulder as well in the Ferrari. So a 1, 2, 3 for the prancing horses. And he's at 113 points. Then Eric Verley for Next Level Racing and the Netherlands in his Mercedes AMG here, as I'm afraid Valdez Suarez goes straight where the rose goes left at the bus stop, and he rejoins again. But Eric Verley with 99 points in fourth. Then Alfredo Trigarici in the BMW, 89 points to his name. Kamal Hashimi in the Audi R8, who was strong for the opening part of the season, seems to have fallen off ever so slightly. He's there in sixth. Then Rob the Lobster, Robert van den Heuvel, he's there in seventh with Savino Melillo in eighth. Dirk Reski in the McLaren, he's in ninth place, 66 points to his name. And in 10th place, Pedro Marimon Cladera in his Mercedes with 65. And then they come close, thick and fast, right there. The entire midfield very, very close. But I'm not going to go through the entirety of the standings. We've got 51 drivers having scored points so far in the season. So that would take a long time indeed.
Definitely, but we've been having the first few times coming into the board. We've only got two at the moment, and it is Savino Melillo, who is currently leading the field, the prancing horse, up at the sharp end of the field with Scusi Arbau just behind him. I believe I pronounced that horribly wrong, but
no, that's Scusi Arbau. That's Scusi. That's a joke I made a week ago.
I was going to say, excuse me, Scusi, if I pronounced that wrong, but it turns out that was all right. But now we can see Martin de Jong now in the lead, but no, it's not, because Koen Mulder now is leading the field. The prancing horse has managed to take back the top spot, but this time in the shape of Koen Mulder.
Yeah, I think we gotta get ourselves a few voice clips from the X-Files of Scully yelling, "Mulder!" God, that would be a lot of fun. Anyways, Koen Mulder atop the standings with a 47.7 at the moment. And then Timothy van der Broek, the privateer as well. And he's in the BMW, 47.9 to his name. Jack Whirl goes in there with a 48.0. And I'm afraid someone is pointing the wrong way here at the infield. And if I'm not mistaken, that is the vegan Mercedes of Stephen Orrell.
Ooh, just gets a little bit too much onto the grass there on the exit, and just, yeah, as soon as it grips back up, it spits him out to the right-hand side of the track, exiting stage left, unfortunately, for him. So that's not what you want to be doing, but what you want to be doing is being where Koen Mulder is now. He's got clear track in front of him, and that's sometimes a bit better to have, because you don't get checked up, you don't get held up through the infield, and then through here you can just take your normal line. You're not having to worry a bit too much about where the other cars in front of you are braking. And look, you can see he's got a purple in that middle sector. I believe that was just coming on to the beginning of the banking, so he's doing a good job at the moment as Koen. We're going to be seeing exactly how close he's going to get as the Ferrari there rides the bumps just nicely. He seems to have a good setup, a good handle on his 488 GT3 Ferrari. He's going to come up to the line now, and where will that put him? Is that going to be improvement for Koen? It seems like it might be, but I don't think it is. Oh, it is indeed. He's gone almost half a second faster, a 47.3. That's a brilliant benchmark to throw down. Timothy van der Broek improves, but not enough to take P1, so they're all fighting for position. That was a storming lap time there from Koen Mulder.
Yeah, very, very fast, and a big decrease on the lap times we saw being set in practice. They've shaved 7/10 off, so evidently drivers now really going for it on low fuel and whatnot. Here is Jack Whirl, as mentioned before, on South lap. Oh, and the tail of the Ford GT wiggling about like a hound, very excited to see his owner coming home from something that's taken, well, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 10 days, you know how dogs work. Anyway, Valdez Suarez looking good as well. He's trying to put himself up there, and he just does very well indeed. Third place provisionally for the championship leader. He goes into the 47s as well and pushes Jack Whirl into fourth place. Martin de Jong is fifth, then Justin Nair, Doug Reski in the McLaren, who is no longer in the McLaren, by the way. He's now in a Mercedes, which to F1 fans of, is that even old? It's not really old. The 90s, 2000s, it's some years ago by now. But McLaren Mercedes was a thing that came to be almost synonymous with one another in the 1990s.
It's going to be a thing, I think, next year, isn't it?
Is it? Oh yeah.
I believe it is. I believe
it is.
McLaren is going to be taking on Mercedes-Benz. So that's a little bit of a nod there. The McLaren has now become a Mercedes.
So now all they need is a fast Finnish driver with a knack for brilliant Finnish type answers to stupid journal questions. A new Mika Häkkinen. Oh, look at that. That's Jose Godinho there taking the wide line, dare I say, into turn one, but he made it around. And actually, I think Scusi Arbauer's had a problem as well here. That is in... Is that the horseshoe?
International horseshoe, yeah.
Yes, it is.
I think takes a bit too much speed, and then he just gets a little bit of oversteer that just sends the rear of the car penduluming around himself.
Yeah, that is the case with these cars. There is only the grip that there is, and no more. And once you...
It is what it is.
It is what it is, and once you cross that limit, there is no more. And you will find yourself, unless you are a... To put in Richard Hammond's words, a driving god. If you're not a driving god, you will find yourself pointing in the wrong way. If you are, you might just be in a bit more luck there. Timothy van der Broek, I'm in a very, shall we say, a light mood tonight. It's Sunday. It's been dreary weather over Denmark for the entirety of this otherwise beautiful Sunday. And, but you know what they say, the sun always shines above the clouds. So Timothy van der Broek at the moment in second place, and Scusi Arbau taking the wide line as well. coming onto the banking. That's not going to help him out at all. Then still Valdez Suarez in third place. And that privateer.
Oh, Jack.
Oh, Jack Werrell. Jack Werrell's up into second place here with a 47.6. And that is a properly fast time as well. Someone that's a next level BMW. Who went around there? I'm afraid that was... Well, it's not EJ Fuellner, was it? I'm not quite sure here. We're going to have a look. No, EJ Fuellner here in the Audi. The number 4 car. So I'm just going to have this switch to best time instead of last time when we come back. So you can see the...
I don't know. It might have been Eric Verlet, I think.
Verlet is in the Mercedes, though, so it's by no means Eric Verlet. It's and it's not going to be...
It looked like one of the next level racing cars, I believe, but I'm not entirely sure which one. They've got quite a few entrants.
Next level racing BMW. And I believe that might have been the car of Simon van Dijk. But it didn't give us the chance to show anything on the replay there, so... well, tough luck. Where is Elroy Timmer, David? That is a very good question indeed. I think while he might still show up in the last 10-11 minutes of qualifying, I think at least, he isn't here. So Elroy Timmer, who joined midway through the season, who's been absolutely superb over the last few rounds, he has been unbeatable to say the very least. He's not here tonight, and that certainly opens up the possibility of someone else grabbing 30 points. With that tightly contested top field there, we might see some very interesting developments here. And yet again, Jack Werrell dancing around turn 1 there in the Ford GT. It's like an experienced tangoman taking his partner around the floor. And not only is it enjoyable to watch, it's exciting, and it's actually pretty fast as well. Cohen Mulder, though, still bettering the Brit here by 0.3 of a second. And you know who it could have been as well before Edward, whom we haven't really seen, but he's in 4th place here, the Belgian Nils Teesters.
That could have been, yeah, but that analogy you did for Jack Werrell's car was absolutely brilliant. It's much nicer than mine would have been. Mine would have been when you go out to, say, a McDonald's or Halford's car park and you're in your little Corsa and you put little dinner trays underneath your rear wheels and then they just slide down. Of course, I've never done that. I'm an upstanding, law-abiding citizen, and that's all that matters, isn't it? So that was a much better analogy than I would have done. But Jack Werrell is still trying to get there. He's still, I think, on a flying lap. So he's fueled himself up for 3 successive laps. He was a little bit held up on that previous time, but still only was down by, I think, 0.02 of a second on his previous time. So we're going to be seeing he navigates very well there and is now going to try and hug the inside of the banking, getting nice and close as he dares to that little yellow line there, not wanting to step out onto the apron. Where you can see how bumpy the track is, the front of his car bouncing up and down, and he's now going to be coming up to the line now. Going to try and take the short line, is he, or is he fuel up for yet another run? He's going to cross the line now. And where will that put Jack Werrell? It's not enough to improve, a 48.1. So that's unfortunate for Jack Werrell. And again, the rear of his car just seems to dance out a little bit, just a little bit loosey-goosey. We managed to hold it nicely. And he's still going around again, so he seems to have fueled up for quite a lot. But I don't know if the tyres he's got on are going to be willing to have the grip for him now.
Well, I think they will. I'd be surprised to see if the tires wasn't going to be able to hold up for a couple of laps here. Mind you, it's not Formula 1 Hypersofts that they've got on here. More a question of giving them ample time to actually warm up here. But the track very hot as well. We did have the weather showing earlier. I'll bring it up again there. 53 degrees track temperature. So that's insanely hot. The sun is beating down. Air temp just 26 degrees. But the tarmac here, the asphalt, really picking up degrees quickly, really sucking up that heat like a sunbathing lobster of a woman. Or man, by the way.
I was going to say, you could probably cook a few eggs on that tarmac, that concrete, because it's absolutely blisteringly hot. That's absolutely immense, and the sun is beating down, so I can't imagine the track getting any cooler, even though the air temperature is only 26 degrees. So imagine if this was in real life, these drivers would be sweating buckets in their hot and heavy GT3 cars.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I will turn down the analogies as well, perhaps just a tiny bit. I'm not... just to make sure that you can actually stand listening to me for the next, hour or so, a little bit more, perhaps even. It's going to be about an hour, and then interviews. Let's see how many analogies we can throw into the interviews post-race. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're here to enjoy ourselves, and both Edward and I think we can safely say we're hoping that you are all, that's what I wanted to say, enjoying yourself on this fine Sunday evening as well. As Justin Nair is throwing his Audi very, very composed there through turn 1. He's sitting in 7th place, but the signs for me is that car is able to do more, rotates well into the horseshoe, and he's following the Ferrari of, is that even Savino Melillo up in front? Nope. Wrong call. Wrong. That was not right. But it did. To be fair, I think I can fairly and safely say it did look sort of like Savino Melillo's Ferrari. A little bit indeed, but not quite.
22nd, that's Stephen Kral at the moment, the privateer driver.
Yes, indeed. Sitting 22nd in the number 28 car, the Dutchman, and quite a few of them, the Dutchman and Ferraris as well in this series. Of course, series organizer, Robert van den Heuvel. He's Dutch as well. And of course, that also usually brings along a few Belgians along the way as well. Rob the Lobster. What a nice nickname. He came up to me and Peter and made us aware of this himself, so it's not like we've made up some kind of nickname to Rob that he didn't, that he didn't want himself or something. It's very much his own doing, or his friends, or whatever. I don't know the backstory. I'll have to. Oh yes, it's actually interesting to see these small kinds of battles and qualifying, and this might give a little bit of a boost there for the man currently in 8th place, Justin Nair, but who does put in his best time. Was that it? Yes, a 48. And he goes across the grass and stops the car. Well, that makes sense. 3 minutes left. And Rob the Lobster has had a bit of an issue here coming onto the banking. Oh, he's had a bit of a touch there. You can see as well, Edward, on his front left-hand side. And that might be causing him a bit of issues as well. But I don't know if he's actually got the time to try and reset to the pits and to actually get that damage repaired.
Yeah, we're about 17 and a half minutes gone of this 20-minute qualifying session. I think he'll be able to get one flying lap done, but that will be all that he can muster. So at the moment, Cohen Mulder is actually improved. He's put a 47.0. Brilliant time from Cohen Mulder there. That's putting a real mark on the field, because Jack Werrell is going to be behind by 6/10 and has got a seemingly large mountain to climb now to get up into pole position.
So Cohen Mulder with a serious charge on the championship title. Stephen Arnold almost follows the Dutchman off. You had the horseshoe pushing just a little bit too hard there. Jack Werrell still second. But interestingly there, Cohen Mulder looking set to take pole position here with just under 2 minutes left of qualifying. And then we have Jack Werrell, Simon van Dijk for Next Level Racing in the BMW. Then Timothy van der Broek, the privateer, Nils Teesters as well for Next Level. And Valdez Suarez there only then in 6th place. So interestingly, and another thing here, that Pete Plastow is not present for this race either way. So I'm afraid, Peter, it would seem has run into something that's keeping him from being able to take part in the series, which is a big shame given that he's a big part of the three-way title scrap that's going on between himself, Valdez Suarez Jr. and Cohen Mulder. Mulder still sitting atop of things here as we're into the final minute of qualifying. Jack Werrell is just starting what will be his final flying lap into the horseshoe. He comes as we ride on board. Look at that, Edward. A race car, a GT race car with a round steering wheel. What's the last time you've seen that?
I don't think I've ever seen that, or at least not for a long, long time. You can just hear the sound. It's a brilliant sound. You can hear the little whine in the background as well of this powerful, powerful Ford engine. Just listen to it. One of the best sounds, I think, in an iRacing car, apart from, of course, the Porsche 911 RSR or even the Porsche Cup cars. They have got an absolute brilliant, naturally aspirated scream there. But you can see Jack Warrell really trying to send it a little bit of a bump on the exit onto the banking here. That's quite a few drivers, but not Jack at the moment. You can see him hugging that inside line, trying to over the shortest line of resistance there. He now comes out wide, gets himself set up nicely for the bus stop. Where is he going to be braking? Usually between the 2 and 1 board is when I tend to brake, and I think he does it just there as well. Especially but gets very loose and loses out. Oh, that's not good. That's unfortunate for Jack Warrell, and he's not going to be making any improvements there. Just took a little bit too much speed and was fighting to get that extra little bit of time that he needed. But unfortunately, I don't think that he quite had the downforce, quite had the grip in the car at that stage, and unfortunately misses out on improving and will be staying P2 at the moment as long as Van Dijk has anything to say about it.
Yeah, but those drivers have all finished their final laps. However, is he still running here, or is it just going about?
Van Dijk's in the pits now, I think.
Yeah, but Timothy van der Broek, whom we're watching, well, I don't think he's still running as well. Eric Verley looks to be still on something hot. And doesn't seem to be improving, though. Ralph Salomon in the 904 machine. Oh,
he's straight on at the bus stop.
Yeah, that's not going to work out so well for him in the end. Ralph Salomon here, who is yet to put in a time. Well, he's going to be trying to put in one at the very end. Savino Melillo crosses the line as well. And with that... I'm sorry, go on.
Where Sam was going to be. He actually goes up into the wall there. Is he going to put a valid time in or not? No, I think that contact in the wall might have been counted as a 0x or a 1x, and that has invalidated his lap time right at the end there. So Ralph Solomon not able to set a valid lap time and will be starting from the rear of the field. Unfortunate for the privateer American driver there. And you can see Pedro Mariamon Caldera. Is he going to improve from 24th? No, but he's in a very nice liveried car, I must say. I don't know if you can see the same that I'm seeing, Hasse, but that's a striking livery, to say the least.
I'm seeing exactly what you're seeing, one of these Japanese-inspired GT300 liveries, I want to say, the manga-style liveries, very much obviously stemming from Japan. And I think, imagine if we saw that as well in Europe. Racing cars with cartoon characters on the side. Beautiful indeed, and striking as well.
Black Falcon, I think, paired with Good Smile Racing and had a few of those cars out on track. So that was a little bit of a Eastern influence there on what was a brilliant race. And as well, if you've had a chance to, the 24 or 25 hours of Spa has been something brilliant. But I think we've got all the results in from qualifying now, Hasse.
Yes, we have indeed, and now just waiting for the session just to take over, and as soon as it does, we will have results ready. And there it is, qualifying results ready to hop and display on your screen. Cohen Mulder taking pole position in front of Jack Worrell and Simon van Dijk for Next Level Racing, Timothy van der Broek and Nils Teesters, Valdez Suarez Jr. and Stephen Earle in 7th with Justin Iyer, Eric Verley down in 9th, and Martin de Jong in 10th place. Alfredo Tricorici, who's up there in the standings, he's in 11th on the grid. Then Savino Melillo, Jose Cadinho, and Nils Cornelis in the BMW in 14th. Then Dirk Reski, Dirk Brinksma, so 2 Dirks right next to one another. And Rob the Lobster in 7th with the 17th, that is, of course. And Mark Hewson there in 18th place, going on down the grid. Further down the grid it is Stephen Crowell, Jake Addison, and then Gibson. And Cody Steeg in 21st place. Then Matthew Maddox, Sven Dalemans and Pedro Cladera, Scusi Arba in 25th, Timo Paya, Gaston Bori and EJ Fuellner in 28th position. Then Paul Rosick and Ralph Salomon rounds off the starting lineup here. And with that said, just about a single minute till we get the drivers onto the formation lap. And one of these very old school, one of these legacy tracks that has had an update, that has had a complete rebuild to it, which also means that if I could be wrong here, because we're in a kind of limited view to where the cars are, but I don't necessarily think we're gonna have the short formation lap. It could be an entire lap here.
I think it might be. Yeah, I can't see quite from the view we have, but I do seem to remember racing were trying to sort of retrofit a lot of the old tracks, but no, this is going to be a full formation lap, which gives the drivers plenty of time to get their tyres up into shape. You can see Cohen Mulder leading the field there behind the pace car. You can see Jack Werrell there, a Ford GT on the front row of the grid. That is something I didn't expect to be seeing this evening, but it's something I'm very glad to be seeing, that's for sure.
It's amazing, and we've been talking so much about the Ford GT, Peter MacKay and I, when Peter has been on for this series, so just to have it on the front row, as you say, and driven by our very own Jack Werrell, it's making us proud to see Jack picking up the Ford GT baton and then just trying to... Well, I know he's always trying to do his best when he's racing. He's a very competitive soul, Jack. But
I was just about to ask Hasse, because it is Jack Werrell with us. I was just about to say, because it is Jack Werrell, and he is a friend, of course, of Sim Racers World TV, a fellow commentator, and a friend of both the pair of us. Does that mean we need to be nice to him, or should we be a little bit cruel to him when we see him out on track?
He can take a bit of a joke, I think, played to his name if circumstances arise to make the most of it on our part. But of course, let's not have any cruelty towards anyone, and that, of course, includes our lovely colleague Jack. We're still watching the top guys here. These drivers are making their way onto the banking, and it's kind of a problem having to do these very long formation laps. Well, on one hand, given that the tires have these, you could call them imaginary tire warmers when you enter the car, the longer you'll be going slowly, basically, or normally at least, the colder the tires are gonna get. Now, of course, we do have a very hot track here that might aid a little bit in it, but I don't think that's gonna be what really heats up the tires in the end. Oh, that's horrible with the infield with nothing in it there. I'm sorry you had to see that. Never again shall it happen here. The front row with Jack Werrell and Cohen Mulder into the bus stop. And if basically every other race I've seen here at Daytona has been anything to go by, we're going to see some action at that bus stop chicane, Edward.
Yeah, definitely. We were mentioning earlier that some drivers might check up. Each one has their own braking points for that area. Sometimes they brake a little bit earlier, trail it in. Other times they brake late and hope that the front of the car, being pitched down by braking so late, will go. But we see actually Robert van der Heuvel there in the pit lane. He's in 30th place, and I don't know if he'll be going out. I think he missed the start of this opening pace lap, shall we say. So he's going to be starting from there. But further up now, we can see Cohen Mulder and Jack Werrell getting ready to start this race.
Yeah, indeed. Let's go and hop on with him. I just saw someone in the pits there, and Rob the Lobster starting from in there. He's going to be dead last as the green flag drops. It's going to be taking him some time before he can get out. Now, let's see. The safety car is still ahead, so Cohen Mulder, oh, there it peels off, and now Cohen Mulder is pretty much safe to go whenever he wants. He goes early, and they are off. And we've got 40 minutes of racing here from Daytona, from the Sunday GT3 World League. It's a good start for the top runners so far, but into turn one they come. And Valdez Suarez Jr., a little bit of tap to the tail of the BMWs. It's enclosed by BMWs in front. Cohen Mulder fighting off Jack Werrell, who's up the inside into the horseshoe here. Edward, is he going to make it? Almost! But he also gets a little bit of a spin on and sees the curves, and they're going to be almost side by side down towards the next section. Brilliant stuff, and behind him it's Real kicking off with all the next level racing cars.
Oh, side by side through turn 4. No, they just about managed to keep themselves in single file, which is one you want to be having, especially on the opening. But we can see now Niels Teester's looking down the inside, but the BMW is actually making a move on the outside. Timothy Brander broke there, is going to lose out as a result. And now you can see all the next level racing cars trying to work together to get themselves up into the field. But no, there's contact. Van der Broek just collides there with Niels Teesters. The driver who came second place last time out is now plummeting down through the field like a stone, and that's going to be unfortunate for Niels Teesters. We're going to see exactly what happened here.
Yeah, just a clumsy entrance to the braking zone there. It's hard to say exactly who really got it wrong there, but collectively, you could say they did. And certainly Timothy van der Broek getting the best of it. But look at this. Jack Worrell's getting around the outside into the bus stop. Oh, he slides. He's having to go across, but he keeps it. Oh, but I think he's going to have a terrible exit here. And Koen Mulder's going to come right back at him. And in behind, there might be more trouble as we're trying to have a look at just what is happening here. Someone is passing someone. That's Pedro Marimon Cladera on the outside of one of the other Mercedeses. Oh, they go very much side by side into the bus stop. That's where we see stuff kicking off. And we have had a problem, I'm afraid, for Timo Paya as well.
Timo Paya, so what happened there? We can see him coming into the bus stop. Was there contact, or was it just a little bit getting too loose out? I think, yeah, he just wasn't able to turn in. He had the Ferrari on his inside, and that's like evasive action there onto the grass at the bus stop. But now it is Jack Worrell into the lead of this race, so we did leave with Koen Mulder leading the race, but I think through turn one, Jack Worrell managed to get into the slipstream and managed to put himself up into the lead of the race. So a Ford is leading here at Daytona. That's going to be brilliant. If there were any American fans, they would be whooping and hollering, I'm sure.
Oh, and what has happened to Valdez Suarez Jr. has dropped down 5 places on the opening lap without us really having been able to see whatever. Oh, he's been off at some point. So there has been a bit of a problem here for Valdez Suarez Jr. It's into the horseshoe on lap 1. He outbrakes himself and basically everybody else gets onto the grass. And it's a relatively undramatic incident there. But it's put him down into 11th place. Championship rival there, Koen Mulder, is in 2nd at the moment. And it's the Dutchman here who really stands to gain. In 3rd place, we've got another Dutchman for Next Level Racing NL as well. We've got quite a number of cars for that team. Many entrants, and they're running well. You're in 3rd, 5th, and 7th place at the moment. Only outdone, I think, in number of entrants by the somewhat comically named Holy Cow Racing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Ooh,
Stephen,
oh, he's got a little bit loose.
Commentator's curse.
Just got a little bit loose out of the exit of the bus stop, and I was finding that when I was doing a few practice laps, is that it's really quite bumpy and it will upset, especially the Mercedes GT3 that I was doing my laps with. It's really upset him, and now you can see him just on the outside having to let all the cars through on the inside, taking the high line, and you can just see exactly what happens. Takes a little bit too much of that inside for the 3rd apex of the bus stop chicane there, and just misses out massively. It is now going to take his run into the pits, but Jack Worrell now building a healthy gap, you can see, because behind you can see Koen Mulder having to go defensive massively on Simon van Dijk there, the Next Level Racing driver. The BMW is going to look to the outside now through the International Horseshoe. Is he going to make it stick? No, he's not. He's going to go for the cutback, but in the background there's an Audi going off. That's Justin Nyer there, but Justin Nyer managed to hold off, managed not to collect actually Timothy van der Broek, which I was very worried about. Going to see exactly what happened there. Does he just take a little bit too much in? Brakes just a little bit too much, tries to turn in, but the car is not playing ball whatsoever. Slots himself in, has to stay onto the grass, which he does very well to do. Slows down enough on the apex. Good foresight there, though, from Van der Broek to avoid catching the car on the apex, and now they're staying just about as they were. We thought we were going to see a few dramatic position changes, but they're staying as they are.
Very much so, and a little bit of a surprise that nothing more happened in that situation. That looked dramatic. And here's Eric Verley in 6th place. He's defending from Tricorici with Sabino Melillo. And then look at this Valdez Suarez Jr. slowly making back places. And he's now going to take the Ferrari right ahead of him. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't make it before the bus stop. It might be a battle between himself and Melillo, but Melillo wisely gets out of this, and I'm afraid as well. We've had another incident here. This time it's a problem for EJ Fuellner, almost collecting the Mercedes up ahead. And again, that could have been much worse indeed here back with Valdez Suarez, who did get past. He's now up into 8th place. Still time for him to chase back. But those opening 6 minutes of this race, Edward, they've actually flown by.
They certainly have, and Jack Worrell has flown off into the front of this race. He's got a gap of about 2.5 seconds. Koen Mulder gets a little bit shaky though going through the corner. It seems that the rear of his car is set up how he wants. He likes it a little bit loose, but you can see now Van der Broek runs wide, and that's open door now for Van Dijk. Is that going to set him through? Yes, it is, but he gets a little bit onto the gravel. Oh, I don't know quite what happened there. Did he manage to hold it?
We're going to
follow
see
the replay
here
to see exactly what happens. We're going to see here he's forced out onto the gravel there. Just about holds it. I thought he was going to get sent into that concrete barrier there on his left-hand side, but just did it. And the Audi had a little bit of a look there. Justin Nyer tried to make an opportunistic move, but I don't think that was on there. And yeah, he backed out of it. So very smart. But he's going to look now through the second of the hairpins. Oh, is he going to get it right? No, just gets a little bit of a tank slapper onto the apex, but it's still side by side. Oh, he's been pitched around. Oh, I don't quite know what happened there. We were following on board. I don't know if there was a squeeze from either of the two drivers there, but that's unfortunate because just know that sort of metal barrier does give you a lot of damage if you hit it at any sort of speed, and they did there.
So, that's Justin Nair just cutting across on Timothy Vanderbroek. He has no chance of escaping, and look at that! The car's behind! Oh, as they're almost all collected by it, and somehow all of the cars behind make it through safely. So now that's Simon van Dijk in third place. That's going to be a bit of space there for Cohen Mulder in second. And Jack Werrell, as you said before, he's flown off into the distance here early days. For Leith now in fourth. And look at that Suarez!
Oh.
All the Suarez flies by there. What? How is that even possible? Look at here, he comes in. Oh, that's a big slide. He's on the brakes there, and Valdez Suarez, he just goes straight on past. Incredible stuff. Back with Eric Verley, he's now in sixth place as Alfredo Trigarici, who's made a car change as well. He's now in the Audi and not the BMW. He's under pressure from Verley, who's coming back from the slipstream. Is he going to get Marshall to the outside of turn one? And that's no way to overtake, as Jack Werrell sets a provisional fastest lap of a 1:47.5. A very good lap indeed. Behind here it's Godinho, Cornelis, then Melillo and Dirk Reski rounding off the top 10. As we're back with the Mercedes up, indeed Dirk Reski here is all behind. They're coming across the line. Here is Nils Teesters, who's lost 7 places and seems to be carrying a bit of damage to his car as well. And further down we do have a bit of close battling here. Look at this, Jacob Gibson almost made contact with the BMW there, and it seems like
How did they get through that without contact? That's brilliant, but they're still going for it here through the International Horseshoe. Jacob Gibson sending it around the outside, and I think he's going to get that position. Yes, just about Hasse. That was immense between the pair of them here.
Fantastic stuff. And the racing in this series, yet again, it's so eventful. It's so good. And it just goes to show that you don't need world-class, absolute top professional level esports drivers to entertain this lot of, dare I say, average Joes, nice guys and bros. They are doing a brilliant job of it. Here is Dirk Brixma in 12th place, and he is chasing Nils Teesters at the moment here into the bus stop. He goes. Oh, and behind there's action as well between Steven Kral and Cody Steeg. And I think Steven Kral actually made the move there. Edward, talk us through it.
Yeah, Steven Kral going to look to the inside there. He's braking much later, actually going on the inside line. And you can see him just getting the apex hooked up nicely. They dips a couple of wheels out onto the grass, but that's fine. And he just carved his way through. I think you could just see that Cody Steeg kind of backed out of that one. But we come back up. Ford watch at the front of the field. The gap is now 4.5 seconds. So Jack Werrell, now that he's got himself into clear air, it seems that the car wasn't quite set up for qualifying, but his race pace has been nothing short of brilliant.
His race pace at the moment matching his qualifying pace, and no one has been able to match what Jack Werrell is putting here over the opening 10 minutes of the race. He has a car that seems to be twitchy, but you know what they say, often twitchy is fast if you know how to control it. And Jack Werrell is doing a very good job of it indeed. He's come right into the Ford GT of all cars, and he's put it to the front of the field here at Daytona. An American car taking a resounding lead here. Okay, resounding lead of 4.5 seconds. Might not be that much, but it's a car that we have not seen be competitive for a long time indeed. And as I say that, I'm afraid there's been a few problems. Scusi Arbau is not involved with anyone else here. Oh, the thing he can say Scusi to is his mechanics. And I played that joke as well last time out. I'm sorry. It shall not happen again. We've had a few more incidents. There's been one here for Sven Dalemans for stage 1 racing here in the BMW. And I think that was one of the cars who really went for it big time before. This time he just goes for a bit of an excursion off track as well. And then EJ Fueler in the Audi, who's already taken a bit of a biff there. There is a McLaren in behind. Beautiful car and a very good looking livery, I think. But he spins in turn 1. And then that's kept you up to date with what's gone on here. I think some cars are more than close here. That's Cladera in the Anime Mercedes. the GT300 car. I'm very sure this is a livery picked more or less straight out of Japanese GT racing. With the... was that sort of a British-American racing with the Lucky Strike there on the inside of the number car in 14th place? That is indeed Cody Steek in the Ferrari, who gets a poor exit, and he's gonna deal with Pedro Manuel coming down towards the horseshoe. He's gonna have every opportunity to send it. He's gonna do it here up the inside of the horseshoe, but is it gonna be enough? I don't think so. Oh no! Oh, that's a big old chunk of contact there. More than paint has been swapped. A little bit of metal, I think, as well between those two cars. And a big shunt indeed, but through he goes, Pedro Marimon. And I think Stephen Kral there just trying to... I'm sorry, Cody Steek, that is, just trying to carry the speed on the outside. But all of a sudden he finds himself there, very much there indeed. And a little bit of contact, but we also saw it pop out relatively quickly, so hopefully it's nothing that he'll be carrying for the rest of the race. Here is Sabino Melillo, who is defending from Nils Teesters, who's lost positions early days in this race. He's gonna have a big old look into the bus stop, and he's gonna get past on Sabino Melillo as well. That takes him into the top 10, back with race leader here, Jack Werrell. Edward, he's still lapping in the 47s.
He is absolutely on a charge now, being almost 5 seconds clear. Only, 13 minutes into this race is nothing short of a brilliant achievement for him, really. You can see, though, that Muller's put in a personal best, but still actually slower than Jack Werrell's time. So, at the moment, Jack Werrell is absolutely flying, even in spite of Cody Muller's best efforts, trying to get his Ferrari up through. And the Ferrari is a car that I did expect to see quite well up at the shop in the field, what with its powerful straight line speed. You can see, though, what's going to happen to Ralph Sullivan here. Oh, he just takes a little bit too much into the international horseshoe and collides with the tyre barriers there. So, unfortunate for Ralph, he was fighting for positions, but unfortunately just lost out a little bit there. Eric Valet, though, we're following now as he comes now through the run towards turn 4, getting into the slipstream of the Audi. That's Jose up in front, or is it Jose you said, or Jose?
It's Jose, I think, when it's Portuguese,
Jose.
Because they actually say the J. They don't have the H. The J becomes H that the Spaniards have, which is also why the very internationally famous football coach Jose Mourinho is actually called Jose Mourinho and not Jose, which I thought for many years myself as well. But hey, you live and you learn.
That does make a lot of sense, actually, yeah. I never thought of it that way. It was obviously with Jose Mourinho. I don't know why that occurred to me but yeah. Eric Valet, though, getting into the slipstream of Jose up in front. We're going to be seeing if he can make his charge up through the field, because we, as you mentioned, has unfortunately been involved in a few incidents, but it's coming back up through the order now. Seeing him through the bus stop, gets a decent run through there, but further back you can see Niels, who also got involved in a little bit of earlier dramas, is making his way up through the field. Has actually gained, I think, 6 positions from his start, so putting in a great performance. In fact, most of the field seem to be gaining at the moment, whereas we've had quite a few big losers out. Obviously, further down we've had Jeffrey van der Broek losing out, Robert van der Heuvel, Justin Nair as well, and Stephen Orell, drivers that we saw qualifying towards the sharp end of the field, all falling by the wayside to allow these drivers that have just been consistent. Alfredo has just put in a brilliant show as well, up into 5th place actually.
Yeah, and Valdez Suarez up into 4th place now, so that's even more impressive, I want to say. He has had an absolute charge to come back from 11th within the space of, 15 minutes. That's pretty impressive. He's still got some making up to do, but points-wise, it's looking much less bad for Valdez Suarez Jr., who has been very consistent with his results. You can see there's a little bit of damage there to the front-hand side. Or now it's on our left, but on Valdez's front, and on the right-hand side of the front, indeed, for him. And just a slight bump to the front splitter, but it might impede him ever so slightly. Well, down and right behind here, stuff is still happening as Eric Verley looks and looks and is trying to find his way around Jose Godinho. And I wonder if that's Paul Rossack here behind with the... And it's indeed Paul Rossack in that McLaren. I'm afraid that's taken a bit of a knock as well, but otherwise a very good looking car. But the close battle in the field is between these 4 cars here. Tricarici, Gardino, Furley, and then Nils Cornelis as well joining in his BMW.
Yeah, Niels Cornelis getting into the slipstream there. You can see this 4-way train all getting in the slipstream of each other. And I think we might be seeing a few drivers coming into the pits now as we have, I think, approached the point where you can see drivers coming in. And who was there? That was Alfredo actually coming into the pits there, the top Audi driver who was actually in 5th position, going to be making his one and only pit stop this race. So we're going into the bit where we can see the strategy starting to play effect. The Argentinian deciding to pull the trigger early.
Indeed, he's early into the pits, and it's just a confirmation for me that the window is now open, and he will be hoping to make the best of it with an early stop here. He might be overcut by his opponents here. It just depends on how much they will be battling. By the way, Jack Worrell, now look at him sliding, still tangoing his Ford GT around at Daytona. And he's doing a brilliant job of it. He's leading by 7.5 seconds by now. And Cohen Mulder really not really looking to do too much about it at the moment. He don't want to overpush. He wants to pick up the points and gain whatever he can on Valdez Juarez. It's still Simon van Dijk in 3rd. So good for him as well at the moment. Here is Godinho and Furley. They're still very close with one another. And Cornelis, I'm afraid, has slightly fallen off the back of this bunch. And it'll be interesting to see where they stand compared to Tricarici when they come around. The question also being, just when is the rest of the bunch going to pit in? Here, EJ Fuellner is going in as well now, which makes sense because he did pick up a bit of damage to his machine. And now here, Dirk Reski passes Cornelis, who I'm afraid has picked up some kind of slowdown penalty. Might that be? Or is it a knock to the car? I can't really see any damage. He's getting flashed by Nils Teesters. Getting cheered upon as well in chat. That's nice to see here. Nils Teesters gaining a position. That's taking him up into 8th place. Here is Steven Kral on the tail of what I think is Dirk Brinksma's Ferrari. So another duel of the prancing horses here, Edward, into turn 1 as they're really going for it.
Yeah, they have, and as we were mentioning that, actually Jack Morello set the fastest lap of the race so far, 47.44. So that was, I think, just about faster than his qualifying times as well. So he's really putting on a massive charge in his Ford GT. You can see, obviously, the prancing horses going wheel to wheel. Niels Cornelisi has managed to get cleared his slowdown, is now focusing on having to defend, actually, from Savino Melillo now. So the Holy Cow Racing driver, the Italian stallion in the prancing horse, going to see if he can make his way through. And you can see, oh, he gets a little bit of an opportunity, but has to back out of it. Doesn't quite know what the BMW is going to be doing in front of him. Has to just lift off a little bit on exit. Now he's just trying to set himself up for the run into the bus stop, get into that slipstream and see if there's any opportunity for him to get past further back, though. The prancing horses are still going at it tooth and nail. And you can see Dirk Brinksma leading that little battle. Alfredo, though, coming out of the pits, already up into 17th place, actually. So we're going to be seeing how he's going to fare, whereas Timo Paya there was getting involved in a little bit of battling. Now back, though, we can see exactly what's happening. Timo Paya, I think, might have lost out of position there to the McLaren, actually, of Paul Rosek there. So it's good to see the McLaren out in force. We're going to see exactly what happened. I think the Finnish driver just didn't quite get the power down as early as possible, ran a little bit wide through the International Horseshoe. They went side by side. Did they through turn 4? No, you could just see Timo Paya being a bit more sensible and backing out of that one.
So a lot more drivers flying off into the pits. Flying off, that's maybe not the right words to use. They're peeling off into the pit lane. And, well, it's only 3 cars this time around. It's Jose Gadinho, it's Dirk Reski, and it is Savino Melillo as well, dipping into the pits. And, of course, it's going to be interesting to see where Tricarici comes around in comparison to Jose Gadinho, who's now in for his stop. And you'd expect some of those cars around to come out in front. Now is Gadinho already running again? Yes, he's exiting the pits, and here comes Tricarici, and I think he's going to be behind Jose Gadinho, and I think he's going to be behind by quite a margin, actually. Oh, as he struggles with his Audi into turn 1, and somebody's hit the pit wall there as well, I'm afraid. And that's going to be Dirk Reske in the Mercedes. Look at that damage picked up to his front end as well. Has uncovered some of his right front tire there. And that's going to be impeding him, no doubt about it. And meanwhile, Valdez Suarez Jr. is looking to make up 3 seconds on Simon van Dijk, but he's really making up anything right now at the moment. And Eric Verley looks to really be gaining off of all of this. And is it just me? Does it just look like a bit of that front end is a little bit bent? Around
on the bonnet.
Yeah, just there's a little thing on the bonnet that could look like it's taking a bit of a hit. Or is it just the spec
just
map?
on the right front? I think it's just on the right front, because when you see it come around on the rear, you see, yeah, it's jutting up a little bit there. So I think you can see it a bit better as well if we go on board. But actually, you can just see from that angle that something is not quite right with that Mercedes on the front of it. It doesn't seem to be slowing him down too much, though. He's putting in grid lap times as Jack Werrell, our race leader, comes into the pits, comes out of the pits now. Already
oh,
up
did he?
into
Oh,
fifth position.
no! Did he overshoot his box? Did he? Or, I mean, he was actually there. And he was stationary, I think. Let's see Jack Werrell entered pits. Let's just see Jack Werrell's pit stop here. That looks a little strange to me. So... No. Oh, well.
He was just that far in front.
He was just that far in front. Jack Werrell, what an incredible character he is. And he's doing a brilliant job here today. Cohen Mulder, though, is saving his fuel well. And is now taking over the momentary lead. But it's not the virtual lead, of course, as he will be off into the pits soon as well. He's got Eric Verley. And Nils Teester's 3 seconds behind Stephen Krall, and then Jack Werrell. Cody Steek hasn't been in yet, but I think Simon van Dijk is there as well. And yes, indeed, Peter, some very good action on display here tonight. As always in the Sunday GT3 World League, it is some entertaining stuff going on here. Matthew Maddox in the inside of another BMW there. And that's the car of Sven Dalemans, who gets around the outside, I think, or is that...
I think it was Jacob Gibson actually sending it around the outside there.
Was Jacob Gibson sending it around Oh yeah, of course it was getting it the wrong way around there. But indeed, Jacob Gibson with a good send on Matthew Maddox. And we're going to have another look at it. So Gibson coming from the long way around. That's not an easy one to pull off, Edward.
Definitely not, but you can just see he was able to get his car. He broke early enough and just trailed it through, kept the speed as well. You could see just how much entry speed he was taking into that corner. Managed, though, just to keep it just about perfect, as we see now, who was the race leader, Cohen Mulder's now coming out of the pit. Jack Werrell, though, being so far in front, is going to be building that race lead. We're going to see exactly what the gap will be, but I'm almost certain that it'll be into the tens of seconds now.
Yeah, but look at this Simon van Dijk on the tail now of Cohen Mulder. And we might have a battle going on for second place as well. All of a sudden, here's Valdez Suarez out right in front of Eric Verley. And someone's in between those. That's Marimon Cladera as well in 15th place. Then a little bit of a gap down to Jose Godinho and Nils Teesters. Look at this on his tail. And he's going to be looking... Oh, there's a slow-moving BMW. I'm sorry, that's a Mercedes indeed. But slow-moving nonetheless. Almost got into a bit of trouble here. This is the second hairpin on the infield, which means the next corner they'll be facing is the left-hander that takes him onto the banking in the long straight. And if Nils Teesters is close enough with his BMW, he might get a shot at the Audi up ahead. But it seems to me he's still carrying a bit of damage there in his front end. And that might impede him just ever so slightly. Trika Ricci's down into 9th place. So it looks to me, Edward, that his gamble on the pit stop going in early really hasn't paid off for him.
No, not at all. Poor Alfredo has just missed out. I think it could have worked if he got out into clear air, but I think he just got caught up with a little bit of traffic on his first few laps. And those are the crucial ones, of course, when you're trying to do the undercut maneuver. And you're seeing now Timo Paier just seems to snag the rear of his car and get pitched around there and actually into the tyre stack there. Luckily, it wasn't the concrete wall, but still, not good, and that's really damaged the rear of his car.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, look at this. That's Teasters and Jose Coutinho trying to defend from him as he's marshaled towards the outside, which is very much the common thing to do. Let people go the long way around. When you can just see Nils Teasters doesn't really seem to have the straight line speed, but he has a car that really likes to get around the corners. And it's probably going to be a lot more stable than the Audi engine. Coutinho goes wide, and through goes Teasters. Nils Teasters up into 6th place here. We're going to have another look here just to see what went wrong. Oh, just outbreaks himself pretty big time and gets away with it without any bigger incidents there, the Audi, but it could have been a lot worse. For sure, and Nils Teasters will be happy about a bit of a freebie, and it doesn't have to fight the Portuguese too hard here. Look at this now. Koen Mulder is trying to get away from Simon van Dijk, but it isn't really working out for him. And that battle for 2nd place is actually one of the closest on track at the moment. We've also got Tricarici, and another one who seems to have really lost out, who was in that top spot battle before, is Nils Cornelis.
Yeah, Nils Cornelis, we did see him have a little bit of struggles actually in qualifying, but seemed to put those behind him. But now they're coming back to him, just his strategy not quite working out for him. But we do know he has good race pace, and you can see him closing in on the Audi in front of him, Alfredo Tricarici, or I cannot even say that word, but Tricarici, I think.
It is Tricarici. I think it's Tricarici.
Tricarici. You think so? We'll say it's that one. If it's wrong, then blame Hasse.
That's what I said. Consistency, at least, is what we're going for. Oh, we've had a problem. I'm sorry, but we've had an issue for Dirk Brinksma in the number 1 car here, the Ferrari. Oh, he picks up a little bit of grass, picks up a bit of cones, and a huge shunt with the outside. I was about to say Armcore, but that's just a good old steel fence that he heads into there. It's going to be a big one here in those Teasters with the close company still from Jose Coutinho. Might have learned a thing or two there from the lap before, but the BMW seems poised through that sector here. And look at this now, Van Dijk has gotten past on Koen Mulder.
He takes the outside line, then gets the cutback, the switcheroo, and just seems to blitz past Koen Mulder there. That's a brilliant line through that corner he took, and Koen just seems to be struggling now. He has good qualifying pace, but during the race, he just seems to be missing out a little bit. So you can see he was already past, actually going onto the banking. He used the slipstream to good effect, gets the inside line, brakes just about all right, but it just seems around the outside, Simon van Dijk just really plans his move perfectly, realizes, I see that Koen's going to be overshooting, cuts down to the inside and just has so much grip from that tighter line.
So Simon van Dijk picking up a vital position, and mostly in the championship fight, because Koen Mulder is now just ahead of Valdez Suarez Jr., and he's flying under the radar, the Brazilian, here in 4th place at the moment. But he's looking at really good points to pick up, given that he's had a tough start to this race. He was down in 11th place already on the first lap after starting in 6th. Not an easy qualifying session. And we're into the last 10 minutes of this race. Jack Warrell, by the way, is ahead by 14.5 seconds in the lead. He's doing a fantastic job at the moment here. And Nils Cornelis, Alfredo Tricarici still close to one another. Behind them is Dirk Reski with the company from Steven Kral, who I think is well within the slipstream as well. And further down, oh, look at this, that's Dirk Reski up ahead of Steven Kral indeed. Dirk Reski, who might be impeded by the damage on his front end. You can see it as well. Oh, now comes the Ferrari, and there's not going to be much to do for the McLaren Mercedes. It's not a McLaren anyways. He was in the McLaren earlier this season, which is why I keep getting confused by it. He's going to try the cutback on Steven Kral, but there's no making that work this time around here. But Koen Mulder is certainly not having it, and he's trying to get back at Simon van Dijk. The two Dutchmen here really going at it for 2nd place at the moment, Edward.
Yeah, they're really going tooth and nail again. As you can see, them just trying to see if he can get a good run out. Koen Mulder does seem coming out onto the banking here, onto the oval stretch. He's really tucked up nicely behind the rear bumper of that BMW. Simon van Dijk, what's he going to do? Is he going to try and defend through the bus stop, or let him on through and try and get the best run out of the bus stop behind the Ferrari and use that slipstream to good effect again and make another passing manoeuvre? You can see Koen's making his intentions clear, looking to the inside, trying to put off the next level racing driver, but the Dutchman manages to hold firm, manages to get through, but runs a little bit wide there. Is that going to impede him? Is he going to get a slowdown coming out of there? He did cut that chicane a little bit too much, but seemed to get away with it just about. So that means that he's going to be dropping Koen Mulder now. You can see the Ferrari getting smaller and smaller before the slipstream starts to kick in, and he starts to gain and gain and gain back on. But I don't know if it'll be enough that he'll be able to get there in time. We're going to see if he's going to be close enough. He's catching, but I don't think he's going to be there in time to send a maneuver, so he's going to have to wait another lap before making his move.
Yeah, indeed. Oh, and they're going to try to get funky here into turn 1, but not really working out to the advantage of Koen Mulder. He was a bit too far back anyways to try something there. So now into the horseshoe they go, and they're going to be... Oh, I think this battle isn't going anywhere for the last 8 minutes of this race, as Timo Paya has had another issue, I'm afraid. And Dirk Reski had that move there, and look at that! Dirk Reski trying to send it on Steven Kral, trying to get that back to position, and Steven Kral's gone into the wall! Steven Kral! It was looking good. Oh, and there's a battle here. Look at this. Cornelis going at it with Trickerici. And I think Nils Cornelis just got past. That's into the second right-hand hairpin. So look at this. Nils Cornelis has gotten wide here. Trickerici sneaking up, as you would expect him to. And then picking up speed. The BMW sneaks on by. So, well, it did look interesting for a moment. It was more just the product of a slide off there for Cornelis here. Van Dijk half a second on Mulder, and they'll be going at it. As I said before, I expect them to go at it until the line here. Jack Wells still well within the 47s, still close to his qualifying pace, a 10th off at the moment, and he's gone well below it at some points of this race. His gap is up to 16 seconds to Simon van Dijk. So he's doing very well. Look at that, it's not half a second anymore, Edward, and the two are closer than close. Koen Mulder now really pressuring Simon van Dijk there up ahead.
Yeah, but we see that Simon van Dijk just seems to be really good through this infield, but we can see now, oh, Koen Mulder sends a late move down the inside, absolutely sends it. And will it be same-day delivery, or will he have to wait 4 to 5 working days? We're going to be seeing if the send is working, and it's not. So he's going to be having to get that parcel sent a little bit later than he would hope, but I'm certain that maybe sooner rather than later, he might be able to deliver.
Yeah, indeed. And that was a good move, though, from Koen Mulder. Well defended as well, Simon van Dijk, but this is by no means over. And if they get onto the banking like this, that BMW is going to be in a bit of trouble, I think. But look just how he's able to carry the speed, get early on the throttle. Simon van Dijk using the agility of the BMW to perfect use here. When just slingshot out on that banking. And while Mulder is gaining, it doesn't seem to be gaining enough to make the move here. There's been a problem, though, for Jacob Gibson. Oh, just gets himself... That looked a little bit strange. He kind of ducked into the tire wall only to drive right out of there again. But good stuff for him. It didn't even seem like he had taken anything of a hit.
Yeah, his car looked almost spotless now. We can see Mulder now getting into the slipstream of Simon van Dijk, but as they came out of the bus stop, the gap was still half a second. So Koen's not been able to gain, but it seems when he comes down through the first corner up into the run to the International Horseshoe, that's where he seems to be the strongest. So we're going to see him closing and closing and closing. Breaks a little bit down on the inside line, doesn't go out wide. You can see him closing up through the brakes as part of the concertina effect. But then he hooks up the apex, whereas Simon van Dijk runs a little bit wide, and that could open up the door potentially for a send into the International Horseshoe, but I don't think it will be. You're going to see and maybe try and put him off, fill the rear view mirrors of that BMW up ahead, but not quite able to get it there. Doesn't seem to get the grip on corner exit. He seems to be quite good through the middle part of the corners and through the entry, but it always seems to be corner exit where that Ferrari doesn't seem to quite have the pace compared to the BMW.
Yeah, very much so. And we saw it before as well when they came onto the banking that Simon van Dijk was just able to get so much earlier on the throttle, which in turn makes it very difficult for Koen Mulder to actually set up the move here as I'm afraid we've had another set of issues for both Timo Paya and Jacob Gibson. Maybe we're gonna keep the eyes peeled on that one for now, because with less than 4 minutes remaining, this could go and get very, very interesting indeed. By the way, Valdez Suarez is now 8.5 seconds down on these drivers, and actually Eric Verley is just under 2 seconds down on Valdez Suarez. So it's not going to take a lot of stuff here for Eric Verley to actually get within the slipstream of the car in front there, the Ferrari of Valdez Suarez Jr. Still seems to be losing a bit of time. It looks a little strange to me. And up ahead here, Simon van Dijk is now really gaining on Koen Mulder. That gap is 7.5 tenths now, so almost a second. And it's swinging. The pendulum swings in the direction of Simon van Dijk at the moment. And whether it's going to keep on doing that for another 3 minutes, well, that's a very, very different set of troubles. As you can see through the mesh there on the rear end of Jack Wells' Ford GT, the beautiful scream of what I believe is actually a supercharged V8 if it's the same engine as in the... Oh, and Jack Well almost spun. Did you see that, Edward? Sliding out on the rear, and he manages just to correct it entering the corner. That we don't see drivers do that often, but Jack Well manages to do so here with this Ford GT that is very much a legacy car on a legacy version of this track. And Jack Well certainly adding to his legacy today by looking to win. Let's get him over the line before we say anything conclusive. But he's looking to win his opening race and his first race here in the Ford GT. That's absolutely amazing here. Simon van Dijk, oh, look at this.
This is the closest that Koen Mulder's ever been. I think we've coming at least onto this bit of the banking. You're going to see him catching, using all of that Ferrari straight line speed. As we see, Eric Verley now is also right onto the rear bumper of Suarez. So this is so close, both for second place, but also for fourth place. And you can see already Eric Verley's pulling the trigger, already going down to the inside. It seems that Valde kind of conceded that position by going so wide out. And now the exit at the bus stop. Which way is it going to swing now? Which way is the pendulum going? I think it's swinging in the way of Simon van Dijk. He's got the gap to about half a second. But Koen Mulder does like to put the pressure on the run into turn one. So we can see Valdez Suarez now getting back into the slipstream himself now. The same gap is around about 4 tenths to Eric Verley in front of him. So Valdez Suarez has been putting in a great performance. And even though the championship fight might not be swinging his way just at the moment, still only finishing one position away from his rival, Koen Mulder will be brilliant for him. But you can see, oh my word, Simon van Dijk's running wide. Oh, is he going to be able to hold it though? We're going to see, is he going to try and do it? No, they're going to touch. Are they going to touch? Oh, just about, a little bit bumping and barging. And I think he's going to hold on. He's going to have the inside line for the International Horseshoe. No, he's not. Is that going to open the door for Koen Mulder? Not quite, but he's running the risk of running wide, and he does just that. And now Koen Mulder knows he can smell blood. He's going to go for the hunt. He's going to go for the pass, and he's going to see if he can make it stick here in what is going to be probably the final lap, or maybe the final, or the penultimate lap of this race.
How did he defend that situation? I have no clue how Simon van Dijk came out on top here 25 seconds before the checkered flag drops, and that seems to tell me that Jack Warrell might be on for one more lap. That means the next couple of cars is going to do another lap as well. Or is it the bus stop here? Oh, it's the bus stop, which means it is the final lap. So Simon van Dijk, I think he actually did get the better of Koen Mulder with that one. That's absolutely incredible. And I'm afraid that Valdez Suarez is having to lift and coast quite a lot there, because I think that's the only probable explanation that I can come up with how he's lost so much time to Eric Verley in such a short amount of time in the end here. Savino Menilo is now threateningly close to the rear end of Jose Coutinho, but we're gonna matter all the less here as Jack Warrell picks up the win in the Ford GT from Daytona. That's absolutely amazing to see. For Sim Racers World TV, the SRW TV team also picking up our first win, dare I say here. Simon van Dijk gets second, Koen Mulder in the end, a third place yet again, and he will get himself closer to the championship lead here. Eric Verley with a helping hand to his compatriot by overtaking Valdez Suarez Jr. late indeed. And Valdez Suarez Jr. with a bit of an up and down race. He ends in 5th place. I think he'll be happy with that, given all that he had to go through there. Nils Teester's ending up 6th. And Jose Cadinho in 7th place in front of Savino Melillo, Nils Cornelis, and it's going to be Tricorici who gets over the line and across it in 10th place. Edward, quite a lot of action pressed into these 40 minutes here. And to be honest, I think it's been pretty damn good.
It's been absolutely brilliant racing here at Daytona. The Floridian sunshine has now turned a little bit more overcast as we come now to the end. We're seeing the last few drivers come across the line here. They've just got 2 more to go of Maddox and Dalemans. We're seeing Dalemans now, Sven Dalemans, just coming through the bus stop for the final time this evening at Daytona. Matthew Maddox is going to be picking up a 14th place in his Mercedes. Brilliant job to finish on the lead lap, especially when we've had Jack Werrell putting in a storming performance in the Ford. It's got to be said that that's probably one of the main memorable moments of this race, is just seeing the Ford GT come across the line in first place, something that I certainly didn't expect to be seeing, and I'm almost certain, Hasse, that you would have been almost in disbelief if if I'd have told you that we'd be seeing a Ford victory today.
I'd been telling you this. I'd probably just be telling you to stop joking, I guess, because incredible scenes as we have the results on your screen here. It's official. Jack Werrell picks up the win in the Ford GT for SimRacers World TV. Simon Van Dijk second in front of Koen Mulder, who picks up vital points in the charge against Valdez Suarez. He gets 5th in the end here. So all new life being bred into the fire of the championship standings. There in between them is Eric Verley in 4th. Then Nils Teesters in 6th place, then Jose Cadinho, Savino Melillo 8th, then Nils Cornelis and Alfredo Tricorici rounding off the top 10. Dirk Reski, Stephen Krall, Cody Steeg in 13th place with Matthew Maddox, Sven Dalemans, Dirk Brinksma 16th, Jacob Gibson in 17th place, and Pedro Marimon Cladera in the Anime Mercedes in 18th place. Indeed, further down the order, Mark Hewson finished in 19th, then Timo Paya, Martin de Jong, Ralph Salomon in 22nd, and Paul Rosek, EJ Fuellner, who had quite a bit of trouble in his Audi, he's 24th, Gaston Bori 25th, and Scusi Arbau in 26th position, and Timothy Vanderbroek, who had a very unlucky start as well, getting squeezed there, Jens in 27th place, along with Rob the Lobster in 28th, Justin Nair, who had every bit of bad luck, as well as Stephen Orrell there in last. And all of those bottom runners pretty much are, of course, retirees as well in the end. So what a race we've had for the Sunday GT3 World League. Amazing stuff here. And if I very much can, I'm gonna see if we can drag some drivers into the booth for some interviews. And let's just start off with Edward May having a word with 3rd place finisher Koen Mulder.
Welcome to the booth, Koen. That was a brilliant race from you. We saw you fighting there at the end. Obviously, you got a pole position. It seemed like if you'd been able to capitalise on your good early start, that you would have run away. But unfortunately, it just seems that your race pace wasn't quite there, unfortunately.
We don't...
If Koen is there, I'm not sure if we can hear you, Koen.
For some reason, we're not hearing Koen Mulder come through here, which is a little bit strange. I'm just gonna...
That's weird, because I can see him talking, but I can't hear any audio coming through, and I've got him turned up on...
Yeah, it's very same for me here, so that's... Strange.
Apologies, everyone, that we haven't quite got this all sorted out. I'm not entirely sure what the issue appears to be.
No, but this is the first time I've ever had this issue. Just using Discord for anyone being, well, like, what kind of program are you using? It's Discord, and we can see Koen's voice coming through, and Koen can probably hear us, but I'm afraid we cannot hear him. I'm just going to try to reconnect you, Koen, for a short moment there, and let's see how that works out.
Koen, can you hear us? No, at the moment, I don't think I can hear you, and I don't think Hasse can either. So it seems that we're having some strange issue at the moment. I'm not sure what it could be, but this is the first time as well I've ever seen this on Discord as well.
We're gonna hop off the order here, and we're gonna take a talk with second place finisher instead, Simon van Dijk, and we're gonna hop back to Koen Mulder and just see if we can get it working after the interviews with Simon and of course with Jack Well as well. So Edward, take it away with Simon van Dijk.
Yep, I'm here with Simon van Dijk, second place for you, and that was a brilliant race from you. You had to fight your way up through the field and actually managed to get in the end a second place victory in dramatic fashion, fighting with fellow Dutchman Koen Mulder. That was brilliant to watch.
Yeah, something went wrong. I don't know what.
Oh, Simon, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, what went on? Well, it was a good fight between you, and I'm not entirely sure what happened, but the end there is nail-biting stuff, because we saw you having to defend massively there from the Ferrari that was really just filling your wing mirrors for, well, that latter stage of the race.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, the BMW is in the mid section. In the road section, it's pretty slow. Have a lot of understeer there, so yeah, that's where you lose a lot of time. But yeah, I managed to fight past Koen and try to keep up with my pace and not making any mistakes. So had a good fight.
It certainly was, and you managed to take your third place where you qualified up into a second. It seems that I think you had to fight a little bit. You had to sort of, I think, bide your time mostly in the opening part. But then was it the pit stop strategy that kind of worked out for you that allowed you to really go on the attack?
Yeah. I don't know how, but apparently my pit stop was pretty good. So I won a lot of time with the guy behind me. That was also pretty close. Before the pit stop, and after the pit stop he was like 5 seconds behind me, and the gap between me and Koen Mulder went from like 3 seconds to 1 second. So yeah, I don't know what I did well in the pit stop, but apparently I won a lot of time there. So
yeah, well, I'm sure you're certainly also happy to be taking top honours out of the next level drivers that we have had here this evening, and I'm sure you'd like to give a shout out to anyone else.
Yeah, of course, for all my teammates for the help and everything, and also Erik Verlee, that of course became fourth, so that's really good too. Shame Elroy wasn't here, so waiting for the next race.
Yeah, certainly. We'll hope to see you out on track in a couple of weeks' time.
So that was Edward May with a quick word with our second place finisher Simon van Dijk there after a very good race, and we're gonna throw a known voice into the mix here, someone you've all heard before. It's our colleague and now race winner, Jack Well in the Ford GT. Oh my word, Jack! Did you expect that kind of thing coming into this race, or are you as surprised as we are right now?
Evening, guys. Not at all. Like I was asked by Robert to change car just to help with the field spread, because there was only one Ford out there. I got a choice, and I decided to choose the Ford because it's not something I even owned. So it was just going into the unknown for me. So I bought it. Did a couple of laps over the past few weeks, and thought, yeah, okay, this is all right. It's a bit better than the Mercedes, which I was using for me anyway, just for my personal driving style. And today I rocked up to practice, was pretty quick there. I was enjoying that. I knew I'd be fairly competitive. Qualifying, didn't have the best of luck. And then the race, I'm not sure what happened. It took a couple of laps to get it hooked up. And I knew that Cohen was struggling with tyres, like to get them up to temperature. So I thought, well, if I'm going to get the move done, I need to get it done in the first couple of laps. Got it done, and I don't know whether he was preoccupied with Simon behind, but I don't know what it was. I just drove incredibly, not to blow my own horn or anything, but it's the best I've ever driven. I think it was brilliant.
It was fantastic to watch as well, Jack, I have to say. And you were dancing that car around in several situations, like an experienced tango master, Jack. It was beautiful to watch indeed. And you've had quite a bit of bad luck as well on your racing endeavors in the series this season. So do you feel like it's things finally coming together for you in this race and picking up a win?
Yeah, I think my luck's finally starting to change. I think the first race I did, I'm trying to cast my mind back to where that was. But I don't think that was at Silverstone. Yes, my engine decided to blow up before the start. And then Spa, I had a wheel failure. and today it just all worked. So yeah, hopefully I can remain with this sort of performance. But we go to Laguna Seca in a couple of weeks' time, so I'm quietly scared about that. It's not a circuit that really works for me, but we'll see what happens. Just take it as it comes and hope that we can produce a similar performance.
Well, brilliant to watch the race here today, Jack. It's been a brilliant performance, and so glad to have you for a winner's interview, and hope to have many more in the future, even though we will probably be in here together for other reasons. And anyway, as you know, as per tradition here on SRW TV, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out before you're off the hook?
Yeah, definitely. You guys for doing a brilliant job as always. Ed stepping in, and from what I've heard, he's done a brilliant job. I listened during qualifying as well, and obviously Ian for letting me carry the SRW flag, and because I don't win very often, if at all. I've only had 2 league race wins in my entire sim racing career. To dedicate this win to my grandma, who's fighting off bone cancer, and because it comes few and far between, I just thought this would be a nice little special occasion. Give her a bit of a surprise, and just dedicate this win to her.
That's absolutely beautiful, Jack. Thanks for joining us after a very good race, and yeah, mate, I know we'll talk soon. So enjoy your Sunday, and we'll throw Cohen Mulder in this here as well, and see if we can get the connection working. And if it does, we're here with it with me.
So, Cohen, is everything all right? Can you hear us, and can we hear you?
I can hear you loud and clear, guys.
Yes, we can hear you, Cohen. Brilliant job. We've got it all sorted, thankfully. And, well, that was a good race from you. We saw you obviously get pole position, but it seems that in the early phase of the race, you were struggling a little bit with your tyres, and that just allowed Jack Roll to come through. But still, getting a podium place, that's something you're definitely going to be chuffed with, I'm sure.
Yeah, correct. The pace of Jack was really fast in this Ford, and indeed the temperatures were very high, so my tires were tough. So in this case, third place. Well, I was driving for the championship, so it's okay now. It's okay. I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, we were keeping an eye on the championship. I think one of your rivals, Valdez Suarez Jr., came home in 5th place, so that meant you gained a little bit more points on him, and I'm sure you're more thinking, of course, as you mentioned, about the long game.
Correct. In this case, it was nice to beat Simon, but yeah, be careful, and third place is okay now.
Yeah, definitely. And how was it really sort of battling close with Simon, especially in those last few moments? It looked nail-biting for us, and we weren't even in the car, so we'd like to know how you were feeling going side by side, especially through turn 1.
Yeah, the turn 1 was a little bit tricky. I was doubting, should I go for it or not? And I did one attempt in the last lap or lap before, and then I gave it away. I think, okay, now it's too dangerous, and podium is my best chance now.
Yeah, it did look like it. There were points where it could have ended in tears, but you still did a brilliant job there, and I think you finished top of the privateers as well. So if there is a trophy at the end of the season for best privateer, I'm sure you'll be throwing your name into the hat for that one.
Yeah, that will be very great.
Well, thank you very much, Cohen. Before we go, we're obviously going to say, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, of course, my family, my friends, everybody's watching, and of course, you guys. Hell of a job, guys. Well done.
Well, thank you very much, Colonel. Wish you all the best. Hope to see you out on track in 2 weeks' time, of course, at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, thank you. You too, guys. See ya.
So finally, the connection working, and a very nice little short word there with Cohen Mulder, our 3rd place finisher, and now looking to really take the fight to Valdez Suarez Jr. in the championship. Indeed. That's going to be it. That's going to round it off for tonight from me and Edward as well here from the Sunday GT3 World League here on Sim Racers World TV. Thank you so much, every one of you who's tuned in on Twitch, on Facebook, and of course on our YouTube profile. And if you want to see more, do not forget to subscribe to us and hit the bell notification icon if you want to be notified of when we go live. You can leave a like on the video if you've liked what you've seen here tonight. And I think with that said, well, all that really remains to be said is from me and Edward is that until next time, may you have a good time so far. And take care, have fun,